Hi, I'm David Silverberg, editor of Homeland Security Today, and with me today are the three emergency managers for the jurisdictions of the National Capital Region, Fairfax County, Arlington County, and Montgomery County. And we've been discussing, and we'll discuss, the role of the social media in emergency management and in emergency response, which is taking on a greater role. So I'll let each gentleman introduce himself, and then we'll proceed to the discussion. Please.
I'm Jack Brown, Arlington County Office of Emergency Management.
Tony Alexio, Deputy Director, Montgomery County Emergency Management.
And I'm Dave McKernan. I am the Coordinator of Emergency Management for Fairfax County, Virginia.
Okay, well, as we've been discussing, social media is now an integral part of emergency management. How are each of your counties using it in emergency situations?
Actually, we've been using it for a little over a year, David. We get information through platforms such as Twitter and Facebook. We found it to be very successful during the remnants of a hurricane that came through August 28, 2011. We were receiving information from the public about things like down power lines and damage to structures. It enabled our community emergency response teams to get out and do a good, thorough damage assessment of our county at daybreak. So we saw it successful there. Another case that just happened a few months ago is we had a person commit suicide on the metro system by stepping in front of a train at the Clarendon metro station. And the folks that were inconvenienced on the train were inconvenienced for a little over an hour. But the information that they were getting via Twitter was invaluable in keeping them calm and getting resources to them during the emergency.
Mm-hmm.
In Montgomery, we do a give and take with social media, much like many of my colleagues across the NCR. Not only do we push information out that may be happening that citizens would need to know about, but we also use it to actually see what's also get an unfiltered view, I guess, of what's going on in the county. That information that comes in obviously needs to be vetted before we can really do anything with it, unless it's a life safety issue, which will, I guess, ultimately ask for forgiveness rather than permission in a situation like that. But it's become a very important, fairly valuable tool in our toolbox in Montgomery County in terms of alerting our citizens through any number of means. A lot of people are wired in our county, much like we are across the country. They'll look at their smartphones before they'll look at a television set, and the information that comes through there could be very valuable to them in a short and quick response time.
And David, it's become so important to us that we actually train. We recently had a 3-day exercise and injects particularly for our JIC through social media, how well they handle the information, life safety information, how did that get communicated through the incident commander down to the incident command post, and then finally to the boots on the ground to actually initiate a rescue. So it's extremely important. It's so important that we're providing a lot of staffing to make sure that we're monitoring that 24/7 during an event because, again, it gives us a sense, a good situation awareness of what's going on out in the community. And it just provides a huge amount of information to us. And as Tony said, we're pushing a lot of information out to our residents, and it's become extremely important.
And how do you guard against misinformation, disinformation, any of the problems of inaccuracy, or people trying to misuse the system?
Well, in most cases, information that's coming through is not nefarious. It's people that notice something, that are saying something to us, and then we have to check it out. If it just doesn't meet what I call the smell test, if it just seems like it's not true, then we'll vet it. But certainly if we get a report of something that's a life safety hazard, we're going to send response assets to it and check it out very, very quickly. I'd like to add that the social media is a two-way street. It's all about information for the public that we serve, but also for us, so that we can gain situational awareness that Dave was talking about. Because information, both ways, equals better preparedness for the public. It also means better preparedness for us. And that ultimately results in a better response during an emergency.
Well, in Montgomery, we have the same approach that Arlington has. People that do put stuff through social media actually genuinely do want to help, more or less. I'd say 99% of the time. Information, unless it's a major life safety issue, which we will respond to fairly quickly, any information that comes through, we try to vet through a number of sources. be it through our PIO and their media network, people we have on the ground, responders that are maybe not on the scene but nearby what the reported scene is, as well as information from people who have been credentialed, I guess, ultimately by Montgomery County, people who are Skywarn spotters, our own spotters, for example, our CERT team members. That adds a little bit more credibility to what the story has, only because we know who these people are and what their backgrounds are. But yeah, if it's not life-threatening, we will follow at least a few basic steps trying to confirm the story.
And David, what I think is so important is that we're putting out accurate and timely information. Government needs to do that. That will refute a lot of the misinformation that's occurring. So if we're providing the timely and accurate information, and we do that consistently, then if we do see something in social media that we have concern with, when we tell our residents that we're not sure, or it is misinformation, they believe us. So that's a way for us to help alleviate some of that problem, and it can be a considerable problem. But again, timely, accurate information, and people start believing what you say, and then we'll listen.
And then what's the next frontier for emergency response? Social information, public participation, and where do we go from here?
Well, certainly, next generation 911 is one of the frontiers that the Federal Communications Commission, Chairman Julius Janikowski announced a little over a year ago that the vision is that we'll be using social media more to report incidents, not just a 911 phone call to our emergency communication centers, but actual live streaming video that would then be transmitted to our first responders so that they have real-time information with video feeds to see what the situation is when they get there that can help them manage whatever the incident is at the time.
Right.
I see social media again becoming more of the grassroots information sharing, more so than traditional media right now, more than the print and television media. You know, most people carry around a smartphone, at least some kind of derivative thereof, information at their fingertips. And then when something gets pushed out through social media or through some other form of information they can receive right in front of them, it's obviously more useful than something that would come to the Washington Post the next day, for that matter. Videos that can work both ways, like live feeds, like Jack said, that will go right to our first responders as they go to a scene, are able to strategize before they arrive at the scene, knowing what they're gonna encounter. The future is going to be fast, complete information. I think that is going to be available more so than even quicker than what we have now.
And can you imagine for a police officer as he's responding to some type of event to actually have a picture of the event, of the people, suspects possibly that may be engaged in that, and that's all part of the social media now. It's available right now, and we just have to be able to capture that, and I think that's where we're headed.
Well, very good. Well, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Your insights, and hopefully we'll proceed to a more secure future. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.